How fired up are you for this Army Navy game with all that you've gone through now hitting your stride with this game just a few days away?
Well, to say the least, I'm ecstatic. Army brings in a lot of big challenges, and just going into this game is going to be super exciting. Just to be able to play and embrace the moment with my teammates is going to be amazing. So I'm very excited.
In what you've seen of their offense, what has impressed you the most?
Their ability to fall forward. I think you watch their offense and they'll turn like a 2 yard gain into a 4 or 5 yard gain. And their just ability to, keep running after contact is something that they do very well, and something that we're going to have to work on throughout the week in practice, the 2 weeks in practice, and prepare for. So
What has Coach Brown been talking about specifically with this game, having experienced it as a coach last year and knowing this is going to be your first?
hairline below the chin is what he says, and that means just playing with good body level, good pad level, and being the first to strike. They're a physical team, and we know that, but we think we're also a physical team. So being able to be in good position, have good leverage and good eyes is going to be fundamental to us and our success in this game.
How frustrating was it the last couple seasons not being available for this game? And what has the motivation been like for you to get to where you are now so you can play in it?
The motivation would be just trying to get back with my teammates. They've been nothing but supportive throughout this whole process and this journey for me. And I will say it has been very frustrating. Having two season-ending injuries. No one wants to go through that, but just being able to stay steadfast in my faith and have my teammates with me throughout the whole journey has been amazing. So just to go out there and go play another football game with them would be just amazing for me.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Flagged.
So that's what I was going to ask you. So you have not played in an Army Navy game? You were injured for each of the last couple Army Navy games?
Yes, sir. So freshman year, I stood on the sideline with the guys, and then sophomore year, I was a signaler. So just been on the sideline for most of it.
Did you learn anything about the game from just being out there, or do you think it's completely different being on the field participating?
Of course, being on the field, it's a lot different. You can only you know you can only see so much from the sideline. So, but I played in a little Army Navy game at Naps, and I've played in a couple junior varsity versus Naps games. So I think just the speed and the physicality of the game I'm familiar with. But going into it being my first one against the Army team would be just exciting. I'm looking forward to it.
What can you say about Bryson Daly? He attacks defenders like a defender would go after a ball carrier. He's like not afraid to run into you and try to dare you to have the toughness and strength to bring him down.
He's a football player. That's what I'll say. He's a football player. He's not afraid of contact, and he's not going to shy away from it. And we're going to do what we can to prepare for it. And we're going to, strike in practice. We're going to tackle in practice, and we're gonna do everything we can to be prepared for this game. He's a great football player. I will say that, and we're just going to prepare ourselves accordingly.
Well, Coach Newberry's saying obviously they have other weapons, but really the offense runs through him. And when Army played Notre Dame, they shut him down, and that kind of it changed things for Army. When he's not getting his yardage, it affects the offense. I mean, I know he's not the only weapon, but how critical do you think it is to contain him and tell Army beat us with someone else?
I think it's very critical to, stop him, but that's just like, any other offense. We want to stop their playmakers. He's not their only one, as Coach Newberry said. They have a lot of great players, and we're gonna try our best to, limit all offense. And that's just, defense. That's what you do. You try to limit the gains by any player. He's a great ball player, I will say that, but their offense as a whole is a good offense, and we're just gonna do our best to limit their offense. Not just Bryson Daly.
Well, speaking of which, their fullbacks are much bigger than Navy's fullbacks. They're the old school triple option fullbacks that Navy used to have 200. Well, they've got guys that are 260, 270. How do you prepare for a B-back that's that big?
That's never scared us. Every game we've played this year has been, oh, these guys are so much bigger than you all. So we're just gonna attack it like any other game. We're gonna prepare the same way. We're gonna practice hard. We're gonna tackle. We're gonna block. We're gonna shed blocks. We're gonna work on the fundamentals because that's what really wins Army Navy games. That's what wins CIC games. Fundamentals.
Can you talk about your journey? I mean, obviously, the coaching staff has mentioned your name many times over the years as a talented guy with a lot of potential. But as you mentioned, the injuries, would derail things for you. And this year, you've been on the upward trajectory, and obviously have earned a significant amount of game repetitions. I mean, this has got to be somewhat of a breakthrough year for you, Kenny.
Yes, sir. I'd like to think of it as that. I think it's just kind of more so a coming out year for me, really. I think being, sidelined due to injury has played a pivotal role in just my success this year, really. Being able to have that time to work out and be with the strength coaches and be with the trainers and just, train myself up for this moment. I think all things lead to this year and years upcoming. So I think, this journey has been worthwhile, and I think it's been worth the wait to say. So.
What can you say about making the switch from inside linebacker to outside linebacker? I think the coaches wanted to have, that outside linebacker spot in a lot of ways is a bigger safety, but they also wanted to have another player who's even more bigger than that for run situations, and you bring that. But I mean, did inside linebacker benefits you? And do you think what has the transition been like from, I don't know if you were Mike or Will, but to strike?
I played both. I played both Mike and Will. I will say, you're a lot less vocal. I think that was the biggest change for me, not being the, controller of the defense at Mike and, being the assistant like at Will. So I think at striker, you're a lot less vocal, but I think the job and the jobs are very similar. So it wasn't a big change. Coach Volker runs a very balanced defense. So it's like, each position is kind of doing the same thing. And Coach Volker always preaches a good defense knows where its help is. So me playing inside linebacker, I always knew what the striker was doing because, a good defense knows where its help is. So just moving to striker, it's just a bunch of job swapping. And I think switching to this position has made me a better player, if you will. I think it's given me a lot of freedom to, help out in the passing game while still being a intricate part in the run game. So I think this position has been very, fun to play and just exciting.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
For those who were not aware, Kenny played in the first two games as a freshman and injured his knee in practice after week 2, and then last year injured his other knee in preseason camp when he was slated to play as well. So definitely a long journey back, and we're all excited to see him out there. Scott Wyckoff.
How exciting, Kenny, has it been for you to be such a vital player in special teams as you've been able to get back into the groove?
Special teams is kind of where it all starts. So they talk a lot about trust here at the Naval Academy, and if you're able to be trusted, they'll let you play on, the defense and offensive side of the ball. So being able to go out there and give your all in special teams, because a lot of people count it as a playoff. So being able to go out there and take full advantage of those reps is, pivotal in your success to being a great defensive or a great offense player. So we preach a lot and we train up special teams big time. So, it's an honor to be on the special teams here. So I just took full advantage of it.
And I would imagine in an Army-Navy game where special teams play such an important role, it's also cool that you can get out there at striker, but then also, that you can be a part of making possibly a game-winning play on the special teams?
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Every play is a you play it like it's the play that'll determine the game. So every play counts, every play matters, and to win a football game, you have to win in each phase of the game. So when we talk about special teams, you have to go out there and attack it. You can't be passive when going out to play special teams. So just being able to contribute in special teams and try to contribute on the defensive side of the ball it's pivotal to our success.
Both Army and Navy were among the schools that recruited you. What was it about the Service Academy, the Naval Academy specifically, that attracted you to the Yard?
Personally, I wanted to stay a little bit closer to home. I mean, I'm from Alabama, but it's still a good ways away. But out of the three service academies, this was the closest one. And I enjoy my family coming to games and being able to see me play. We played a game down in Birmingham this year, and it was kind of like a homecoming for me. So being able to be closer to home, and that was a huge part of it. And then also Coach Volker and Coach Newberry. Coach Newberry was actually the person who recruited me, and he spoke very highly of the Naval Academy, and I loved it. So that's why I came here.
How cool is it being a college football player and going back home to the college hotbed of Birmingham, one of the great college football cities in the country, being able to hold the Navy flag proudly when you're with your friends who are also college players?
It's huge. It's huge. A lot of my friends and I, we debate all the time on who's in the tougher conference, who's playing tougher competition, and that's any football player, you're competitive at nature. So it makes me very proud to go home and say I play for the United States Naval Academy, and we play in the Army Navy game, one of the biggest games in the country, and so it just makes me very proud.
And have you gotten used to those cold December practices out on the banks of the Severn River yet?
I'm trying. I'm trying to get used to it. We've gone through a couple practices so far, and I spent some time up at the Naval Academy Preparatory School, so in Rhode Island. So I'm used to the cold, but it's definitely my first time being able to enjoy it with the guys and play, run around on the field this year. So I'm excited. It's been fun.
Great. Thanks a lot and good luck.
Thank you.
It's supposed to be 51 next Saturday, so it's going to be just fine.
Yep.
Wags.
Coach Newberry says he thinks the seniors in particular, but the team in general, the players in general, have a chip on their shoulder with regard to Army Navy just because of the way this rivalry has gone of late, with Army winning more often than not. Well, can you agree with that?
Absolutely. We've had a chip on our shoulder in the last couple games. We've attacked it. We've always been considered the underdog. We've always been considered smaller, not as physical, just explosive per se. We have a huge chip on our shoulder, and we're gonna attack this game like we would any others. We want another win. So we're attacking this game, we're preparing for this game, and we're gonna go and play this game, like it's our last.
And obviously, it's a winner take all for the Commander-in-Chief's trophy. That a very special trophy has not been in the Navy football building since 2019. A lot of the guys on this team have never seen it up close and personal. How big is that?
It's huge. It's a picture before our meeting rooms. It's a picture of the guys at the White House, the team who won the CIC. And Coach Volker, first day of fall camp, said, if you want to go here, you know what we have to do. So we want to go to the White House, and we're going to try our best. We're going to prepare our best, and we're going to go out and play our best against Army and hopefully come out with the win.
I know there's exams beginning next week. Is that add some pressure on the shoulders? I mean, it's a bit hard enough this is Army Navy week, and it's so much pressure to begin with, but then you add in exams. I mean, that's got to be an unnecessary. I'm sure you wish there were another week than this.
What better week? We thrive in the pressure. We thrive in the grind, the daily grind. We preach 1% harder to kill every day, and we're trying our best to prepare like it, and we're focusing on the most important thing, the game, as well as our academics. So it's something we have to balance, but it's very, very doable.
Coach, what was the biggest difference for you, and maybe what you learned last year that could help this year, calling plays in the Army Navy game?
That's a good question. Got to find a way to be sound, be able to find a way to put guys in good position, Scott, and make sure that it's not too complex for them so they can play fast and play violent. This is a super physical game. And it's really important that the guys can get their cleats in the ground, put their eyes on their key, and play fast. So, you'd rather have a good plan executed violently than a great plan executed passively, if that makes sense. So that's a big thing for me moving forward with this week.
And when you first came to the academy, I mean, you've played a lot of football, you coached a lot of football. Did it jump out at you in this game how different it was physically?
Yeah, I mean, this everything about this game is words don't quite do it justice. This is a physical a game as I've ever seen. All these CIC games are. It's a spirited battle. When I first got here, you've watched it on TV and you've seen it on TV and on tape, obviously leading up to the game. But the atmosphere in the stadium, all those things add to just the level of play. I went to the national championship game last year. Michigan versus Washington, and I'm in the third row of the stands. My brother and I are there watching the game. My brother's been to a few. My brother's a high school football coach. Wish him good luck tomorrow in the state championship game. But we're sitting in the third row, and he looks at me, and he's like, this feels like an Army-Navy game. Like that's the feel in the environment for Army-Navy game. These guys, get to play in a national championship environment every single year. And it's something that's really special. And as a coach, you want to make sure that they can go out there and execute and play at a really high level and play with the level of violence that's necessary to be able to be successful.
What makes Bryson Daly such a dominating player at quarterback? I mean, you talk about some quarterbacks that make plays and are playmakers, but he seems like he's a dominating player.
Yeah, he plays football the right way. I mean, he's a great decision maker. He runs with speed and with power. He's got good vision, and he's a good passer as well. He's done a nice job passing the football, getting the ball to his playmakers in space, and obviously with the quarterback position, the ball's in his hands quite a bit. You've got to be an excellent decision maker, and I really think he's an excellent decision maker as well. So he's certainly the complete package back there.
I know every game, every team tries to give you a look that you might not have seen before. Do you see that in this game where there's something that just you've never seen before that that they've been working on that you have to react to?
Absolutely. In every game you have that. So, you got to, let your rules apply. You got to get lined up, let your rules apply, and then we'll get over to the sideline and make sure we get that corrected and get fixed. But yeah, every game, there's going to be some type of formation, some type of play, some type of alignment, some type of personnel that we haven't seen before. And we know that, we understand that. We try to do a good job as coaches preparing our guys for those things as the week moves along.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Scott.
Wags.
Hey, PJ, good to see you.
Likewise.
So how has Bryson Daly gotten better since last year? You want to get him against him last year in the Army-Navy game. You held him somewhat in check. He had 84 yards, but on 27 carries, only a 3.1 yards per carry average. That's not bad. But you feel he's a much better player since last year?
Yeah, I really think I thought he was a really good player last year. I think he's an excellent player now. There's a reason why he was conference player of the year in the conference. I mean, he's dominating. I mean, as Scott said, I think that's a good word to put it. I think he runs with great vision and physicality and speed. He's throwing the ball probably at a much higher clip than he did last year, and not just quick short throws, but throws down the field, intermediate throws as well, and that's really enhanced their game. I think Coach Worley and their staff there have done an excellent job with him.
So Monken had, he introduced a new type of offense last year. He kind of thought that he was banging his head against the wall with triple option, but at the end of the year, he decided it wasn't what he thought it was, and he's reverted. Is Army exactly as they were in 22, or have they maintained some of the elements of the offense they ran, the shotgun zone blocking schemes of 23? What do you think?
I mean, I think they're always evolving. They've got a really big playbook, and obviously they do a great job putting guys in position to be successful and try to find numbers and angles, advantages. I think there's a lot of elements from at least the whole time that I've been here. There's elements of all those offenses and those schemes out there, Wags.
Obviously, Army has a different style fullback than what you all are using now. They are the old school triple option with a very big body. In some cases, they've recently had 265, 270-pound guys that are basically the size of offensive linemen. Is there any way to replicate that in practice? I mean, I know you can't put Landon Robinson there, but a guy like Landon might be a guy who could replicate the size of their fullback.
Yeah, we've got some pretty good size young guys that give us a great look back there, and that's one of the cool things about this is there are some similarities to the offense. So our look team, we were just going over some things, and the O-line, the fullbacks, the receivers, the snipes, everybody, quarterbacks are doing a good job getting us prepared.
Anybody in particular that you can replicate a bigger fullback with? Any young guys you could mention, or would you rather not?
We use multiple guys, Wags, at basically all the positions. Steph Egby's a big back that's doing a good job back there for us. I think he's 220 pounds, something along those lines. We'll put some of the tight ends and things like that in situations where they're blocking on guys, so we get the weight and the physicality of that. Same thing with our tackling. We're going to tackle, in some of our drills and things like that, bigger bodies. Not anyone in particular, like a multitude of people will tackle bigger bodies. So we got to really make sure we're doing a great job running our feet and landing on top. So we'll use a lot of different guys, to try to simulate those things, if that makes sense.
So Kenny McShan was just on talking about one of the things he's impressed with Army is how the runners, be it Daly or the fullback or whomever, are very good at landing forward, that 3 and 4 yard gains are 5 and 6. Can you talk about that? Or you seen that?
Yeah, I think that's something that that they've done a really nice job of, and it's a testament to who they are and how they play and their style of football. I think that's something that really jumps out on film.
What can you say about their offensive line? Coach Newberry had said he's impressed with that offensive line unit. What are you seeing out of them? What do they do well?
Shoot, man, I don't know what they don't do well. They're a well synchronized group. They play well together. They're able to take care of the first and second levels really, really well. They do a nice job passing off games and stunts. They do a good job on their combo blocks in the zone, and obviously do a great job pulling on the gap schemes. I think they're a very well-coached, physical bunch. They're big guys that move well, as good as anybody we've seen this year.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Wags.
Gary Lambert.
PJ, how are you?
Great, Gary. How are you?
Just fine, thanks. So I'm doing a piece on Robinson, and I just like to hear your perspective on just being around a guy with his kind of very unusual arc, how he showed up, how he got moved again. He's obviously put his body through some serious changes. Could you see this coming when he was rolling from scout team into the spring as a first stringer? Because I guess Biscuit was hurt and couldn't go. Did you see that potential and talk about what that potential has obviously blossomed into? That must be a pleasure to watch on film all the time.
Yeah, when I recruited him, I knew he was going to be first team all conference nose guard. Uh, I had no idea. I'm such a liar. Like I just, he's from Ohio. It was during COVID, so it was a time where we weren't able to get out and set eyes on him and see him and things like that. So in the recruiting process, I liked his film. He was a 240-pound inside linebacker. And one of the first things you look for in style of play when you're watching film is violence. So he, everybody we take on defense, we say we have to see violence from, and saw that from him. We thought maybe he would be a little shorter lever Raider, maybe grow from Mike linebacker into a Raider. That's just a little shorter lever guy. Maybe he could grow into a defensive end, and be, a squattier, stronger defensive end. Not my wildest imagination did I really think he would turn into a 285-pound nose guard. But I think that's a testament to him, his hard work, just his level of detail. And I think it's a testament to Coach Hall and, putting the time in with Landon and get him to that point. But Landon, in the recruiting process, he was one guy, we talk about, like, there's few that are chosen to be here, and there's even fewer that choose it. And he was a guy that throughout the entire process wanted to be here extremely bad, and was able to articulate that to me and voice that to me. We had a great relationship and got to talk a lot during that time. And he was a guy that, obviously, as you talk to him and you get a chance to meet him and talk with him more, like you like him more and more. Like, you want to be surprised if he ends up being president of the United States or something like that. Like, he's just one of those personalities. He's very charismatic, and a guy you always like to be around. So during the recruiting process, like, you felt that, and you start rooting for him to have the opportunity to get here. And, he had a couple things that he had to work through to be able to get here. And obviously that's been well documented with the peanut allergy as an adolescent that obviously he ended up growing out of. And, going through that process to get here was a big deal. And he just stuck with it. And a lot of people would have just, thrown their hands up and walked away from it, but he just stuck with it and kept, hey, what's next? What do I got to do next? What do I got to do next? Was able to get all those things done. That obviously got him in the door. I know that's a long-winded answer, but that's probably about 5% of the deal, if that.
Yeah. Well, how about when the ultimate, experiment happens? And of course, that's been well documented too. But when he came back as a huge man, and were you just thinking, like, honestly, like, okay, good job, but how's this going to work? How is he going to hold up? Is he going to excel? I mean, that's where the freak, I guess, comes in.
Yeah, I mean, I double took at him, like, when he came back with, the added weight on. Like he obviously had a good spring. It was a blessing in disguise that he was able to get the reps that he was able to get with Biscuit being out. Who's a returning starter at that point. But he really developed and had an opportunity to practice a lot and get a lot of reps versus, the first team offense, which I think really helped him. I first time I saw him when he came back, I sort of double took, like, holy smokes, he looks a little bit bigger. But he carries it. He carries it well. And when you see a guy put on weight like that, you do wonder, like, can he still move? Can he still run? Does he still have his burst to switch his athleticism?
Is he going to get hurt? Just
I mean,
whatever.
Can he carry that weight on his frame? All those things, like, that obviously goes through your head. But then, I mean, quickly you're able to look at him and see him work out, see him move in conditioning drills, see him move in speed and agility drills, and then obviously with his pads on, once we got back to practice, you're like, yeah, he's fine. He's just fine. And shooting might have even been moving better.
When you look back over this season and reevaluating all your players as you guys constantly do, and you can see the development, you can see the good things happening. You got one or two from this season, one day, one night on a Saturday or whatever, where it's just like, how does he keep wrecking things, and he's still got energy in the fourth quarter, and he's still got explosion in the fourth quarter? What do we have here?
Yeah, I mean, he never ceases to amaze me in terms of the things that he's able to do on the field. But I think that just translates. We talk about it all the time. Like, who you are off the field is who you are on the field, and that's who he is all day, every day. I mean, he's a guy that's just got an infectious personality. You want to be around. You want to talk to him. He makes you feel good about yourself, not just himself. I mean, he's just got that type of way about him. So he's obviously a guy that I think everybody roots for. But then you see the way that he played in that South Florida game. I mean, and that's a game that's a challenging offense to play against, especially for anybody, but especially for big guys. And he really showed up in a big way that game. But he's been like that all year, Gary. Like, he practices that way, so he keeps getting better and better because of the way that he attacks practice, and he attacks meetings every day. So we've got high expectations for him to just continue to improve. He's gotten exponentially better, but I don't think he's anywhere reached his maximum yet.
Line play, of course, it's the war room, right? I mean, there's all kinds of chicanery going on. Might be legal, might not be, but it's just the way it is. And I mean, he soaks up so many blocks, and also you can almost see, if you watch a replay, like even on DVR, when somebody is definitely, the matchup is not good, and you see the head turning, like, is anybody helping me? I can't block this 285-pound guy. But I mean, he crushes plays, and the way he just so effortlessly, unselfishly soaks up those blockers, knowing that, well, Colin's going to clean it up. Is there a real synergy going on there now that's been about as perfect as it can be this late in the season? Those guys.
I think that's always the case defensively. Like, it is. We talk to the guys about, like, you want to dominate your job so well that it makes your buddy's job easy. You don't need to do your buddy's job. You just need to dominate your job. And that's what makes it easier for your buddy. And I think Coach Hall, the defensive line in general, it starts with those guys up front being able to do that. And they don't always get maybe the stats that you would love for them to have, but they're an unselfish bunch. And we give out assists for guys that do that dominate their job on our production chart so well, that people around them are able to make plays because of them doing their job at a really high level. And Landon, I think I'm not sure if he leads the team, but he's up there in terms of those things. I think that's the nature of defense, though. And defensively, everything starts with the defensive front. It has to start with the defensive front. The game, that war in the trenches is critical. That battle for the O-line versus the D-line, the line of scrimmage. I mean, that's where everything starts. And we talk about, linemen win games and defense wins championships. Well, the common denominator is the defensive line.
When you see him get off a block and the plays kind of by him, and then you see him come into the screen as the second, third level actions going on and get the guy on the ground. And he looks like a guy that belonged on kickoff. Like, that explodes with that sheer speed. Does he ever, like, pine for, can I get on kickoff once in a while? Because he's paying 70% of the snaps. I guess you guys thought better of that. Like, let's not go there. But does he ever talk about it? Like, I'd like to do that. If anybody gets hurt, put me in.
He has not to me, but I'm sure he has at some point to Coach Brown or Coach Akitis in those units. But I mean, there's not a lot on the field that he couldn't do, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Hey, I appreciate it.
No problem.
Thanks for your thoughts.
Thanks, Gary.
Scott Wyckoff.
Coach, what does it mean for a game like this to have two seniors, Colin and Rayon, who have started in all four of their Army Navy games, to have them out there on the field.
Yeah, I think experience in these situations is obviously critical. You know, guys that have been under the bright lights before and understand, you know, what these things look like and how this game goes. You know, like we talked about before with the atmosphere and things like that. It is a little bit different. So just having guys that have those bank reps and have those banked experiences to be able to recall on that. You know, just like anything in life, the more you do it, the better you get at it, and that's what we expect from those guys.
What high school does your brother coach at?
He's at Beechwood High School, the Beechwood Tigers, Northern Kentucky, right there. So they got a big game tomorrow at 4 p.m.
Wow. Good luck.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thanks.
Thanks, Scott.
Wags.
PJ, can you talk about how in this Army Navy game there's so many little plays and like literally inches? And if you look at last year's game, that play where Tyson Riley snuck out and was a wide receiver, and you all recognized it late, and with late getting there, it's a touchdown. That's just a finite difference there, whether he's covered or not. And then of course at the end of the game with, you're going, a quarterback sneak is inches from the goal line. That's the difference. Can you talk about how critical that is, and how do you kind of explain that to the players that it could come down to literally inches in one play?
Yeah, I mean, you fully expect this game to come down to inches. I mean, it has basically every year since I've been here. I mean, it's a intense battle. I think everything, obviously, in a rivalry game gets intensified. It's two teams that battle their tail off for every single inch, and it's the age-old adage in football that it's a game of inches. In rivalry games, those things get exposed. So I'm a firm believer it comes down to executing your fundamentals at a really high level, and you have to be able to do those things. You got to be able to get aligned and know your assignment, and then you got to be able to knock back. And they're trying to knock us back. We're trying to knock them back, and win your one-on-one battles all across the football field. So we try to articulate those things to our guys, but at the same time, Wags, picture's worth 1,000 words. So we're going to show tape of those experiences and make sure that guys understand exactly how this thing goes.
And last for me, I'm doing a senior profile on Colin Ramos, and I know you've talked about him ad nauseum, but I mean, what's kind of the last thing you can think of as as his career winds down here?
Yeah, he just keeps getting better and better. He's not a guy that rests on anything that he's achieved ever. I mean, he's extremely humble, incredibly hardworking. You talk about, like, we look for guys that we talk about, Wags, like guys that are OKGs, our kind of guys. They're smart, they're tough, and they love football. Like, that is Colin Ramos. I mean, he's smart, he's tough, he loves football. He's a high character young man. And he's super, super humble. I mean, he gets named first team all conference the other day. He's, I congratulate him for that in our meeting, and he could care less about that congratulation. He wants to know, he wants to get to the film and work to try to get better and those types of things. It's just, he's everything you want and more. From any member of your football team, not just your captain, but from any member of your football team.
So obviously he's been Mr. Reliable for the better part of 3 seasons or more. Have you contemplated not having him? I mean, that's kind of when next year is to be a very big hole in the middle of that defense.
I have not contemplated not having him right now. That is not on my docket at this point. I'll take care of that when I need to take care of it.